The National High School Player of the Year was announced this week, and the 2020 honor going to Corner Canyon quarterback Jackson Dart. Dart led the nation in passing with almost 4,700 yards, and his 67 passing touchdowns broke the single-season Utah State record. Finished his senior year with 5,886 yards of total offense and 79 scores, leading the Chargers to their third consecutive state title. He will be joining the USC Trojans for his collegiate career, signing with the team during the early signing period. Now, according to the scouting reports, Dart shows typical skills as a passer. He's got above average physical tools, great feel for the game, great touch, can put the ball where it needs to be between the levels, and he's also not afraid to put his head down and fight for those tough yards outside the pocket. For more on Jackson Dart and the All-America team, which is out today, let's now welcome in National Football Editor for MaxPreps, Zack Poff, and MaxPreps Director of Programming, Steve Montoya. Great to see you, gentlemen. Let's start with Jackson Dart being named National Player of the Year. Zack, not a surprise here. Where does his season rank for you in terms of great seasons that you've seen by high school quarterbacks?
It's right up there at the top, man. I mean, you just look at the numbers he put up. He broke the single-season Utah State record, going for 67 touchdowns in a single season, which is remarkable. He led the nation in passing with nearly 4,700 yards. And Corner Canyon is a program that's been ranked in the top 25 from the start of the season. They ended the year ranked at number 9. He led Corner Canyon to their third consecutive state title, with the last two coming in the largest classification at 6A. And the thing that impressed me the most with Dart, he went into his senior season. He transferred from Roy High School to Corner Canyon. He had 0 Power 5 offers going into his senior campaign. And the way he played this season, obviously some Power 5 schools began to start offering Dart, and he ended up signing with USC. But, you know, the thing that impresses me most about Dart doesn't show up on the stat sheet. It's his toughness. There were games this year I saw him take big-time hits. He would limp back to the huddle and come right back in and tell head coach Eric Cart, no, I'm good, man. I'm staying in. I'm playing with my guys. And it's going to be a fun battle at USC, man. You know, obviously they got Slovis coming back next year, but him and Miller Moss, another 4-star quarterback, will be battling for the backup spot. And, you know, it's going to be a fun battle to watch. But, yeah, you know, Jackson Dart earned this Player of the Year award, and he's the first player from the state of Utah to say he's won MaxPreps National Player of the Year.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out to the state of Utah. Remember back when COVID started, Utah was really the first anywhere to start playing football, let alone just high school. And, you know, looking at Jackson Dart's timeline, it wasn't like he was unknown. He had BYU, Utah State offers. Then all of a sudden, because of his senior year, being able to play in the state of Utah, it was Arizona State, Iowa State, TCU, UCLA, and then USC. And now all of a sudden, because of the importance of his senior year, he took full advantage of it. So really good job to Jackson Dart, good job to the state of Utah, and really all the states that got to play high school football this fall.
All right, let's get to the All-America team, first team, starting on offense. We know Jackson Dart leading the way there. What can you tell us about running back Jonathan Brooks here, Steve?
I could tell you he went off this season. His 3,500 yards rushing was second in the entire country. He had 62 total touchdowns running the ball. So that was 18 more rushing touchdowns than anybody else in the entire country. And just think about it this way, in the state of Texas, the second best was 34. So he had 62. He had 70 total, which is third all-time single season record. So I could tell you that Jonathan Brooks went off in the state of Texas.
Kind of like a no-brainer when you look at those gaudy numbers. Okay, so we have Brooks. Let's go to wide receiver. Shadrach Banks of North Shore, Texas leads the way here. Zach, this is a big play guy, isn't he?
Yeah, man. Hey, he's not just on the first team All-American squad. He's also on the first team All-Sauce team. This dude in the open field is a big-time playmaker. This year he finished his senior campaign with over 1,700 total yards, at over 20 touchdowns, and he was a guy that could line up at wide receiver, in the slot, at Wildcat, in the quarterback position. He is a big-time playmaker, and you just look at what he did throughout his high school career with quarterback Demetrius Davis, who was a second-team selection at quarterback. These two guys were one of the best 1-2 duos in Texas high school football history. Shadrach Banks, man, this dude's going to be an absolute baller for Texas A&M. I expect him to be a guy who's potentially going to be hearing his name drafted in the NFL down the road too.
Yeah.
This guy is saucy, man. I love his game.
Yeah, and you look at those highlights. I mean, he's taken, swing passes and 5-yard passes and turning them into touchdowns, which is something that coaches love to see. Jackson Dart teammate Noah Kerr joins him in that wideout contingent as well. Just want to mention that. Lewis Central tight end Thomas Fidone, the second, is heading to Nebraska. Steve, what makes Fidone so special?
Yeah, he was our Iowa State Player of the Year, and when we were breaking this down, I got to watch some film on him, and he's just a big physical tight end, 6'5", 225 pounds, and when you're playing in high school and you can throw to a guy like that, you really just get him the ball and say good luck, and we'll see you in the end zone, because that's really what happened with Fidone. He's so big and physical. To be able to be a high school quarterback and have someone like that line up at tight end or out at wide receiver just makes it so easy. And not to compare kids this early, but the 24/7 Sports guys compared him a little bit to Zach Ertz. So we'll see what he can do at Nebraska, but really fun to watch the Iowa State Player of the Year play this season.
And that is a great comparison as well when you look at his size and what he's able to do. All right, let's talk about the guys that matter most, the guys up front, the most important guys on the offense if you want to throw or run. J.C. Latham from IMG in Florida is the guy that we're keying on here. Zach, he's heading to Alabama. What are the Crimson Tide getting?
They get an absolute freak, man. He's the #1 rated offensive tackle in the class of 2021. In my opinion, he's the most physical and most athletic offensive lineman in the country. IMG finished the year, they went wire to wire as the #1 team in the country. And one of the main reasons why was because of the offensive line. They had the best offensive line in the country, and it all started with J.C. Latham. And the thing with Latham, too, is he's not just great in pass blocking, he's also one of the best run blocking offensive tackles. And he's also a guy that's super athletic. There were times where IMG had a goal line package where he would move from offensive tackle and come in at fullback and try and run it in from 1 yard out, too. So this guy is going to be an absolute stud for Nick Saban down the road for sure.
6'6" and 305 lining up as a fullback. You don't want to see that if you're on the other side of the ball, for sure. All right, well, the only junior selected on the All-America team is all-purpose player Travis Hunter from Collins Hill in Georgia. Steve, what do you like about Hunter here as a junior?
Our National Junior Player of the Year is an incredible playmaker on both sides of the ball. He's a defensive back when it comes to playing potentially at the next level. He's a Florida State commit, but what he did on offense was incredible too. Just 137 receptions, led the country. The next closest in the state of Georgia had 73. He had over 1,700 yards receiving, 24 touchdowns. He had 8 picks as a defensive back. So Travis Hunter, there's a reason he's the only junior on here, because it doesn't matter what grade he is. He's just an absolute playmaker and stud on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and the athleticism that he shows off there, too. If you don't wrap those legs up, he is going to be gone in a hurry. Let's go to the defense now. We talked about J.C. Latham up front to Alabama on the offense. On defense, they also get Dallas Turner, another Florida guy from St. Thomas Aquinas. How easy was this selection to make, Zach?
Very easy. I mean, you just turn on the tape at Dallas Turner, man. He played 1 year at St. Thomas Aquinas, was at American Heritage before that. He was a stud every single year during his high school career. And it's nice, too. You get to transfer to St. Thomas Aquinas. Jason Taylor, defensive coordinator, gets to, teach you a couple of new tricks. And that showed during his senior campaign. He led St. Thomas Aquinas to a 7A state title, their second consecutive state championship. Dallas Turner is a 5-star for a reason. He had double-digit sacks. And I love watching his tape, man, because he gets off the line so quick. Even if you try and double team him, it usually doesn't work out too well. He's going to be another guy that's going to be a big-time player for Alabama. It's just crazy, man. The rich keeps getting richer with Nick Saban there. Every year, Alabama is getting 5 stars. And this year's class right now, if it ended today, this would be the best class in composite history for 24/7 Sports.
Well, and when they're the national champions, a little added motivation for players coming in trying to earn their spot. Let's talk about North Gwinnett, Georgia linebacker Barrett Carter. He's heading to Clemson. What do you love about this kid, Steve?
Yeah, well, I love how fast he is. Linebackers these days are just freaks. I mean, running a 4.540. I mean, you're going to be faster, especially at the high school level. You're going to be faster than most running backs. So he can come chase you down anywhere. And what's great about high school, these guys get to play on both sides of the ball. So we saw him on offense. He counted for 10 total touchdowns. He benches 315. So imagine when he gets over in the weight room with the Clemson guys, he's going to be one to watch for sure. 6'1", 220. Currently, he's just going to get stronger, bigger, and maybe even faster. So that's just a freak in Barrett Carter.
Yeah, they say sometimes getting hit by these big guys is like getting into a car accident, and if he's adding more already, over 300 pounds on the bench, this is going to be a guy who's going to wreak havoc on opposing offenses. We've talked about the guys who catch the ball. Let's talk about the guys who try to prevent that from happening on the All-America team. And we start with the defensive backfield and Jaquincy Mckinstry, a Pinson Valley, Alabama kid. How impressive was Mckinstry this season, Zach?
He was named our Alabama MaxPreps Player of the Year, man. He balled on both sides, man. He was a big-time playmaker at wide receiver. He'd probably be a 5-star if he wanted to play wide receiver at the next level, too. But cornerback is his #1 position, and he is a shutdown corner, man. This dude makes plays. He led Pinson Valley to a 6A state championship. And I feel like I'm an Alabama fan today because everyone I'm hitting on today is going to ball for Nick Saban. That just shows you how impressive this class is for the 2021 Alabama class. And, you know, Jaquincy Mckinstry, this guy is going to be a big-time leader. They call him, his nickname's Kool-Aid because he's always smiling. So he's always having fun on the field. But when he gets in between those white lines, this guy turns on his game face, and he's one of the best ballers in the country.
I thought you'd say his nickname's Kool-Aid because he's running through walls. Let's finish off with Jatavian Sanders from Denton, Ryan, Texas. Of course, Denton, the home of the University of North Texas. But this kid is going to Texas, period. Steve, what makes him so good?
Well, look at that catch right there. I mean, that makes him
unbelievable.
That's one reason. And the crazy thing is he's a 5-star defensive end. And what you're seeing right here is what he did all season for Denton Ryan. He's a playmaker. He's in our top 10 plays, which coming up, and he just made play after play, and he did it on both sides of the ball. 6'3", he had over 1,000 all-purpose yards, 16 touchdowns. But like I said, at the college level with Texas, he's a 5-star defensive end. But maybe watching that high school film, you're like, let's get this guy in the game. Just throw it up to him. Maybe he'll make those one-handed catch for you. So Jatavian Sanders, one of the most entertaining kids we got to see all season long in the state of Texas for one of the best teams in the country in Denton Ryan.
Great stuff as always, gentlemen. Nobody more dialed into the high school talent pool than you two, Zack Poff and Steve Montoya from MaxPreps. So how dialed in are they? Well, here's a breakdown of college recruits on the All-America team. No shocker, Alabama leads the way. You heard Zach mention it. That's all he talked about. 5 kids on the All-America team. That's followed by Clemson, Michigan, Texas, and Texas A&M, who have 2 each.